Do you work to live or live to work? Do you constantly feel like you're having to choose work over your family or your passions in life? Do you keep hearing about this elusive work-life balance that everyone says they have or says that is one of the most important things to them? In today's video, we'll dive into the myth of work-life balance and how you can get the best out of life no matter which camp you're in, working to live or living to work. Hey leaders, it's Rico. I hear so many people saying that work-life balance is so important to them, and yet they don't know how to achieve it. Either work becomes too demanding, or family events keep falling in the middle of workdays. I have another perspective, and it might sound different, but here it goes anyway. If you follow what you love, that will give you the balance that you need. If you get excited, fired up, and passionate about work, who am I to say, or who is anyone to say that you need to do less of that? Some people can't wait to finish a project, create that new invention, or build that one-of-a-kind business. They love it so much that it doesn't feel like work. Some people believe that work just gets in the way, especially if they hate their jobs. If you hate your job, of course it's work, because you don't really want to be there. That's why. Follow your love. On the flip side of this coin, if you value family and love spending time with your partner, kids, or whoever, or if you love traveling and experiencing things not work related, then balance is going to look different for you because you're following what you love and that's what fills your cup. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't have both, but it just means being honest with yourself and what's important to you. Values and priorities will tell you if you really have balance, not whether or not your calendar is perfectly even dividing up all of your commitments that you have. That's just not realistic. When I was an executive at Netflix, my values shifted and I couldn't really create the balance I needed or wanted with a young family. I found myself normalizing 10, 12-hour days and having no meeting Fridays that people still didn't respect. Sound familiar? Big shout out. Thank you, Jackie, my amazing EA that helped me protect what little time I had to make room for my family and my other outside commitments. So for me, following what I loved showed me the way forward. I wasn't going to get the time back that I needed to prioritize family over work, so I left. I'm going to break down the 5 myths of work-life balance and give you some tips to find what works for you. Myth number 1, perfect balance exists. We just talked about this one. A perfect balance never really exists. There'll be times where you have to pick up a sick kid, go to a recital, a game, or whatever. Something that'll cause you to have to skip work. And at the same time, there'll be projects, launch dates, work events that you have to do, whether it's working nights, weekends, or traveling. These may not be every day or every night, but thinking you can balance it perfectly just isn't realistic because it's not predictable. You need to be flexible and understand that things can happen, and while boundaries are good, flexibility is needed. Don't be static or rigid. Give yourself some grace either way. Myth 2, it's a 50-50 split. We spend over 33% of our lives at work, so having a 50-50 split is near impossible. When do you eat? When do you sleep? When do you poop? You get the idea. The best you can do is to be present in the moment. You won't always be able to catch the game because of that late meeting. You won't always make the offsite because you're traveling with family. There's no way to hit that 50-50 split. And once you can realize that, it'll help put things into perspective for you. And you can make the best out of each situation. Once you can let this myth go, be more realistic about this, the pressure becomes way more manageable. Myth 3, work-life balance is universal. What works for one might not work for another. And I get asked this all the time. What do you do? And you know what I say back? It doesn't matter what I do. What do you do? We're all unique individuals with different priorities and circumstances. It's about finding what balance means to you personally. I set my boundaries in Slack, response time, and deliveries. I set those expectations ahead of time with my company and my clients. With my family, I also set expectations that sometimes daddy will be in meetings until a certain time. Sometimes it'll run long, sometimes it won't. Those things work for me, but it doesn't mean everyone has to adopt the same model. As long as they're accomplishing their goals, personally and professionally, who am I to force things one way or the other? Myth 4, it's a one-time achievement. No zero-sum games here. Balance is definitely not a destination. It's a journey. It evolves as your life does. Just like your values change over time, balance will mean different things to you at different stages of your life. What worked for you in your 20s definitely won't be the same in your 30s, 40s, 50s, you get it. For me, I didn't have a partner or kids when I was at Zappos, so traveling and working later hours, that worked for me. No one asked me to, but I loved creating and being around my coworkers. As I got older, got married, had kids, that all changed. I didn't enjoy the traveling as much, and the long days and nights meant too many missed moments. My values and my context were so much different. Embrace the change, just like the journey. Myth 5, you can do it alone. Balance is not a solo mission. It requires support, collaboration, and asking for help. Connect with your community, delegate at work, and lean on your loved ones. I don't know anyone who can balance everything on their own. My life would be insane without my amazing wife, Shay from Shay's Getaways. Link in the description below if you need a travel agent. Yeah. We communicate about everything and we plan together as much as possible. And if we can't, we just over-communicate. She taught me that. Love you, babe. Also, when I was leading teams of 150 plus, I could not do it all alone. I had an amazing leadership team that could step in for me at any moment. The beauty of a succession plan. Each one of my leaders could do my job, and I loved that about my team. That's how you can find more balance. Trust the people around you and let them help you. Pro tip, really let them help you. No lip service. So those are just a few of the myths that I wanted to debunk for you. Now, let's get into some reality checks that I think many of us need when it comes to work-life balance. Reality check 1, work requires commitment. Yes, jobs ask for our time, energy, and dedication. It's why you get paid. It's a commitment that goes beyond just the 9 to 5. And understanding this commitment is super important. It's not about sacrificing your personal life, but recognizing that investment required to excel in your professional career. If you want to be a high-ranking executive or even the CEO, know that it's not an easy job and that it often takes more time than you think. So does building a business. So does leading large teams. Internalize this and know that this is your career goal. You need to be committed. Reality check number 2, sacrifices are real. Let's be honest, work often asks us to make sacrifice. Whether it's late nights at the office, missed family events, or the occasional weekend catch-up, it happens. Acknowledging these sacrifices doesn't mean glorifying them, but understanding that finding balance sometimes involves temporary imbalances. Now, I'm not talking about working every weekend or missing everything or working 75-hour weeks, but there are those times where you may have to. Quarter or end of the year financials, pre-launch prep, pre-campaign work, all take a little more time to do, and that's just the reality of it. Reality check 3, priorities shift, and that's okay. There will be times when work takes precedence, and other times when family requires a spotlight. The key is being present and fully engaged in whichever role you find yourself in. It's not about choosing one over the other permanently, but understanding that ebb and flow of life's demands. Life will dictate how you spend your time. One week it'll be with family and friends, another week it'll be work. It's okay. That's the ebb and flow. Just be mindful if one flows more often than the other or for longer. Now, let's flip the script and go from reality checks and myths to tips to a more fulfilled and joyful life. Tip 1, define your values. You all should know this from me already. Come on. My values are the lens that I look at everything through. They make sure I'm staying aligned with what's important to me and how I want to live my life. Take, for example, the moment I made the decision to walk away from my lucrative, job at Netflix. It wasn't an easy choice, but my values had shifted and that life no longer resonated with my family priorities. Following what you love isn't just a cliche, it's a truth I've come to live by. I've seen firsthand how following our values naturally leads to a more fulfilling life. Your values serve as your foundation. Everything else you build upon. Tip 2, prioritize self-care. In the corporate world, it's easy to fall into the trap of the constant hustle, but taking care of yourself is a non-negotiable investment. If you're a high-performance car, would you keep driving without getting gas, without changing the oil? Or for those like me, without hitting the charging station? Yeah. During my leadership journey, I learned that self-care isn't selfish, it's a necessity. I couldn't be there for my team or my family if I wasn't rested in the right state of mind. So whether it's finding some calm in a quiet moment, engaging in a hobby, or breaking a sweat through exercise, these aren't just nice to haves, they're necessary to sustain top performance in all aspects of your life. It's like recharging those batteries, making sure you have the energy to navigate both professional challenges and your personal joys. Don't be the half-good leader and the half-good partner. All right, tip 3, setting boundaries. Your life is your home. It's where you should feel safe and protected. Boundaries are the fences that protect your home from outside factors. In the fast-paced world of tech and leadership, it's critical to establish clear boundaries between work and personal life. This lesson really hit home during my years as an exec. As you all know, ad nauseum. Learning to say no became a survival skill. Setting boundaries helped me make sure that each aspect of my life got dedicated time and attention. And it wasn't about limitation, it was about preserving the balance that creates sustainable growth. Your life is like an emergency room with 5 beds. Once those 5 spots are full, you can't take on anymore. So you gotta learn to triage and prioritize. Pro tip, if you're still learning to say no and it's difficult, use not yet. Not yet isn't dismissing anyone, but it asks you and the requester to prioritize first. All right, tip number 4, plan and reflect regularly. Reflect on this tip as your guide through life. During my time at Zappos, where being flexible and adaptable was crucial, planning and reflecting was super important. It's not just about the everyday tasks, but carving out time for both short-term and long-term planning. If I didn't have a clear roadmap, nothing would get done or prioritized. I'd be reactionary instead of proactive. Regular reflection helped me readjust, making sure that I stayed on track with my goals and what was really important. It's that intentional pause that helped me move forward with a clearer purpose. All right, last one. Tip number 5, embrace imperfection. Life is not about striving for perfection. It's about embracing the imperfect and knowing that our lives are exactly that, imperfectly ours. And we all know about perfection anyway, right? It doesn't exist. This idea really speaks to me. In the world of leadership where change and challenge is constant, being able to accept imperfection is a superpower. It's about knowing that life is messy and unpredictable, full of unexpected twists and turns. And throughout my career, there were many times when projects did not go as planned. They lost $2 million, or decisions were met with harsh criticism. Embracing, even yearning for imperfection isn't about settling. It's about growing from challenges, moving forward, and celebrating victories no matter how big or small. It's believing that perfection doesn't exist, and it's the imperfect moments that shape our lives. Taking messy and imperfect action is better than no action. Get in the game, y'all. Don't let life pass you by. So leaders, remember, these tips are not just strategies. They're a way to help you create a more fulfilling life. They're the tools that have shaped my journey, and I'm confident they'll guide you to a joyful and purposeful experience. If you want to understand how to better define your personal mission, vision, and values to help you follow what you love, check out this video next. One of these. It'll be here somewhere. Remember, it's not about achieving a perfect balance. It's about creating a life that feels right for you. Until next time, this is Rico signing off. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. I'll see you next time.